Hey guys, welcome back in Bangla YT, and sorry for guys the videos coming so much delay. I'm so sorry for that, but let's start. So we are going to basically create a new game or new game series, that is Sharp Bladers. So we'll be try to make this game, and also this game will be try to create for the mobile. First of all, we'll give all the inputs for PC, and so once the game is done, we'll be at the last time or in a production time will be make that or change the controller PC to for mobile, so we can control that game from our mobile and will be publish that game in our Google Play Store because we have console accounts. Okay, so we will learn everything, how we need to create a game for our mobile, how we need to optimize, and how we need to publish that game in Google Play Store, and also how we can monetize our game and earn some money from our game. Okay, so for that we are going to use first of all the Unreal Engine 4.27.2, and we'll be use all the assets from Epic marketplaces that is totally free. So yeah, let's start. So first of all, I'm setting for my console for now is desktop, and you can set the standard content, and then there's a maximum quality and blueprint, and here I already set up my game name Sharp Bladers. So let's create the projects. Okay, in this game the player have both like player can fire, like he can basically shoot, also he can fight with some blades or kind of like some swords. Okay, so first of all what you need to make sure is we need to use a blank if you can add a blank project, also you can add from a third person content also in your project. So I'm adding a third person in my project. If you want you can add, if you don't you also. So what I do, first of all, let me add some asset from my library. So first of all we are set up for our game for the FPP. Okay, so for do that what will we do is first of all we are going to use the animation starter pack, because that is a total animation pack, so you can use that for your any type of FPP game, because this pack is totally great. You find the non aim plus aim animation. Okay, you find the blend space, everything is pretty much okay at there. So yeah, then will be use some weapons. So for the weapons you can use the dark or even you can use the silver one. So the dark one is also great. I really like the dark one also because it's really great, guys, that's why. Okay, this one is also totally great. You can use this pack also, so I'm going to use this one, military weapon dark, and let's set up that in our sharp blades. Okay, then we have now these two things. Okay, our first for the setup, and then you can set up a character that which one you like. So you can use there's a tons of character in the Epic marketplaces, so we'll be set up our character in later, but for now let's set up the mechanism, the main mechanism. Okay, first of all let's create a test map. Okay, this is always will be use this map, so that's why let's give it name that test map. So so sorry, let's give it a test test map. Okay, and then we'll be go to settings, then project settings, and setup we'll go in maps and modes and set up our map in editor and game default. So whenever we'll be open our project in next time, it will always open this map. Okay, now let's go to, now let's add a simple landscape at here. So you can add a smaller landscape because we don't need so big landscape, because this is a test. We will be always use here our mechanism that our everything is okay, not okay, whatever will be create for our game. Then go to engine sky and drag and drop a sky BP, then go to lights and direction, add your directional light and sky light. Once you add this both things, select your sunlights and go to details and set it for movable. Okay, we have now this. Now go to your world outliner, then go to your BP sky, then go to details. Now set up here your directional lights. Okay, we have everything right now, or we already set up that. That's great. Now you can give a big light, so you'll get a better result for your game, or whenever you are create your character and you try, you will be see a better effects and a better result. That's why make sure you bake the light. Okay, so the light bake is done. Okay, that's great. Now we'll be add a basically a start point. This start point help us to spawn player from this location. Okay, that's great. Okay, now let's create a folder for our player. So let's give it name that player Okay, so in this player folder will be do everything. So first of all, let's go to blueprint actor and select here that character. You can select the character class if you want. Okay, also what you can do, you can also start from your third person content. Okay, if you want, it's totally depends on you, like which type of character you want basically for your game. That's why. So in our case, let's say you add the third person character, this one. Okay, then if you go to blueprints, so we have the third person. Let's duplicate this character, and then it's basically save our time. Okay, we don't need to do that, so that's it. Then drag and drop in our player, and once we have our player, let's give it name that player BP. Okay, we have the player BP right now. Now double click and open. So we have tons of inputs. Okay, we don't need that anything for VR, so just disable that. And for the mesh, for now it's have a mesh. Okay, it's good, but we don't need to use this character mesh. Okay, because we will be use our animation starter pack skeleton and everything. So let's give it name if default to player skeleton. Okay, because this is our player skeleton, and let's give that player mesh, and it's all automatically convert with the physics, I guess. If it's not, so you can give that player phy, that is basically the physics. Okay, we already set up everything the custom, that will be very good. Then in our player, let's set here that set humanitarian target, set up here that auto remap. Now go to in the player section, so you have everything right, so you can understand that how you need to set up. So if you search here right now the player, so we set up the player mesh. Okay, now for our player we need to create a animation BP. Okay, so let's start. So for creating animation BP for our player, so let's go to in our player content and let's select the animation, go to animation BP. Now at here we can easily find our player skeleton. So here as you can see the player skeleton, that's why I make this name that, or rename the player skeleton. Okay, then select this and you can give it name that player anime BP. Okay, because this is his animation BP. Okay, great, we have that. For now, let's create a simple state machine. It will be help us to basically use. Okay, so first of all we'll be make the mechanism for that non-aim animation. Okay, so or non-aim, no aim locomotion. Okay, that is our locomotion for the non-aim purpose. Okay, now in this thing, instead of this thing, we need to create a simple state that is basically the idle. That is basically for now this is our locomotion, and instead of that we can add a idle animation. The idle animation, in this idle animation will be use the hip, that is basically the non-aim animation idle. So as you can see, now let's go to in a player and let's select this thing in our player animation BP. So we have this right now. Now let's create a game mode for our character. So we'll be right mouse and press here that game mode base and set up here that player game mode. Now select your world your world settings and drag and drop it here. You can also set up here your game modes from your default that maps and game modes. Okay, great, we have our player right now. Okay, no, not have, because in this instead of this we need to set up our player BP. Okay, now we have our player. If I click on play, as you can see we have basically our player, but our player cannot run, or he can't play any animation because we didn't set up. So let's set up some animation instead of his locomotion. Okay, so instead of that we'll be simply add a one state that is for the walk. Okay, so in this walk we have the pin, so we need to use this pin. So at here we'll be add a variable or make a variable that is moving. This boolean will help us to verify that our character is moving or not. If it's moving, so we can play the animation. If it's not, so we will not play the animation. It's basically, so we'll drag and drop from walk to our idle. and do the same thing. Okay, so let's set up here that a none, that is not boolean, and connect it with this thing. Okay, in the walk section we'll be now add the our walk animation. So here's backwards, we want the forward hip. Okay, this one, but this is for crouch, we don't need the crouch one. So iron side, this is iron side, we don't need the iron side, or it should, there should be animation. If you can't find from this thing, you can go to your animation starter pack and search here that wire is that, basically LT for F, let's search that F, we can find maybe easily more. Crouch, fire, iron sight, hip, shotgun, break, joy, that is a backward, that is the forward. Okay, that is this one we want, so let's drag and drop like this. Okay, that's great. Now we can check that it's working properly or not. We can select this boolean, and if we give it true, so we can check that that is a hip one or not. Okay, that's great, it's working totally great. Now we want that it should be work or activate this boolean. So for that we'll be called our character, that is cast to player BP, and now from that will be get vectority. This is basically a code you find in a third person template also, if you didn't understand. So that is the vector length, and from that we'll verify that it is more than 0.1. so if it's more than 0.1, it's mean that we are basically moving. Okay, now let's activate it with your boolean, and let's give it here a sequence. Now connect it with this thing like that. Okay, we have now a moving boolean, so if our character is now moving, it should be play that animation. Okay, as you can see, it's looking totally so great. Okay, yep. Now let's add something more in this thing, like we can basically, you know, run fast and do something more. So then from the ideal we can use the basically from the walk will be used that run. So let's create a new state that run. Okay, so there's a option. Okay, if you want that it should be play with, you know, kind of like if you want to play the running animation, or you know, like you want to activate it with the sum of key, so you can use the play animation from the mesh. So we'll be do that from there, so we'll not using this one at here. Okay, so for create that like fast running system, let's create at here. Okay, let's use some left, let's use the, if I place with shift, so it should be work. So let's say the left mouse, left shift, if I pressing that left shift, get our character movement, and then what will we do, will be set here that set max max walk speed basically, and let's give it that 800. And if I'm not pressing that, like I'm not pressing that left shift, so it should be in my default that 620. I guess that is my default character value. You find from at here that what is basically your speed. You find here basically the speed here, the maximum walk speed 600. Oh, okay, 600. Okay, also we can activate a boolean that are we are running or not. Okay, so let's give it a boolean that running. If it's running, so the boolean should be say that 3 are true. If it's not running, so the boolean should be say that no. So let's give it name that fast run. Okay, so let's give it like this. Okay, it's looking great. So now with that we need to play some animation. Okay, also you can basically, maybe you can call that an animation BP. Let's do that if we can do that. So let's use that here, that is basically state that run, and get from at here Now go to your graph, and from that you can basically call your that run, if it's running or not. By that thing you can basically verify. So let me unplug at here. Let's create another sequence, and let's give it that running. If it's running, okay, so compile. Now let's go to our non-aim locomotion, and inside of that will be said that if it's running or not. And if it's not running, so it should be play the walk, or there's nothing animation, so no, it don't need to play any animation. Okay, so compile and save, and okay, that's great. Now our character should be run also if I press the running boolean. Okay, for that it also should be enable the moving boolean, so then it can be basically run or it will be not. Okay, that's great. So in our run animation we can basically should be a run animation. Yep, there's the one connected. If I activated this boolean, so we can see that this thing is working or not. We need to compile and save. Yep, as you can see, everything is pretty much enough good and working pretty well. Okay, so now if I play, and as you can see I can run. If I press on left shift, our character will be run fast. Okay, that's great. Okay, now our character can be run, our character can be walk. That is totally great. Now we'll be add some crouch animation. So for the crouch we can use another totally different type of state, that is the crouch. Okay, this one is for crouch, and then get a pin from that. Okay, so for crouch activating, what you need to do, we can use any of keyboard. For now let's use the C keyboard. By C keyboard we can enable our crouch and events. So add a new boolean, that is crouching. So I'm adding crouching or not. So if it's crouching, so it should be say that okay, crouching. If it's not, C press, so should be say that not crouching. Okay, so at here we'll be do one more thing, that if we are not running totally very fast, so then at that time we can basically crouch, or we can't be crouch. Okay, we can add that system, or for now let's leave this code like this. Okay, so now we have the crouch system, so let's give that crouch. Okay, so this one is for crouch. Okay, we have now this. Let's go to player animation. First of all, let's go to event graph, and from our character will be get that crouching or not. If it's crouching, so it should be say that yep, I'm crouching. Okay, now go to non animations, and at here let's set up the crouch. It should be set and not boolean. Okay, now instead of that we'll be set up a animation. So first of all, this state is basically the crouch idle, so let's set up that idle. So instead of that we'll be search that idle animation. So here we should be found the hip. Okay, and play. Okay, so if our crouching is now enabled, it should be crouch. Yep, it's working. Now from that crouching we can basically, if you want, we can move. So crouch walk. Okay, and for the crouch walk what will we do? First of all, we verify that are we moving or not, and second, are we crouching or not. Okay, if we don't need to do the crouching verify, because this is always active, but for now I'm for double confirmation I'm just doing like that. If these both are activated, then it should be do, or it not should be do. So copy that again, come in your non-animation and drag the animation from that and paste it at here. And now from that let's set here that the not boolean and connect it with this thing and compile and save. Okay, that's great. And now instead of that, let's add the animation that there should be forward crouching idle. forward. Okay, this one. So now let's try it's working or not. So yeah, it's working with C, and we can walk. Okay, yep. So if you want that it always active with if you press the C keyboard, it always be active. So you can do for that, make that mechanism that is, if you press the one time it's C, so it should be crouched, then again when you press, so for that system you can use the flip and flop. Okay, this will be help you. Okay, so with this simple code, so if I press, so our character will be now in a crouch mode. Okay, so yeah, that's great. Now for in our crouch mode, what will we do? Because the crouch, if we are sitting, so it's mean that we can't walk so fast like this. So what will we do? We'll copy our character, this one, and set up here that if we are basically sitting, so our maximum speed is 420, and if we are not sitting, so in our by default our character speed can be 600, or by default whatever it's his speed. Okay, now let's, if I click on play, I'm not sure, oh sorry. Okay, so yeah, everything is totally super great. Okay, all the animation is now pretty much enough working. Already we set up for the walk, run, and the crouch. Okay, so pretty much enough at here for now. I guess this is totally okay. Now let's add something more great stuff, kind of like animation montage. Lots of you have maybe questioned that how we can create that animation montage properly. Okay, like if you want that weapon changing system, like it's reloading or shifting weapon, so how you can do that? Okay, like that. So for create that system, how you can do? So what will we do? First of all, let's first of all find out that why is the weapon changing. That is a break. I'm not sure what kind of break it is. Oh, it's an idle one. That is a hit, forward, equip. That is maybe here the rifle equip, like that. With that we can basically mix up some others animation if you want to create like that. So first of all you need to create that in an animation montage. So create, then play animation montage. So now it's ready. Now let's go to animation BP in non-animation or non-aim locomotion. Now instead of that, first of all you need to find that skeleton at that root motion that format where you want to blend that animation. So you can set up from here, you can set some of your pips. So I want to set a format here for my pips. Okay, so for that, first of all we need to go in our state machine, because that state machine is the main one. So let's go to in our state machine. At here will be set up that layer blend by pros per bone. Okay, this what we want, and at here from that our animation or non-animation will be click on save cache pose, and we can give our pose name that data no aim locomotion. Okay, now we can call that use data non-aim, or I'm not sure where is the key come from. Okay, yeah, that's great. Okay, and from that we can basically blend our pros. So now what you need to do, you need to set that default. You can search here that montage, and here you find the default slot of montage. Okay, now you can read with this thing default slot montage, and at here you can use like this. Now you need to call this again, so duplicate this and connect it like this, blend pose parabo and pose 0, and then connect it with this thing. Okay, so this is for your non-aim. So let's give it that non-aim locomotion, and then let's give it a color. you can give something more great color like that. Okay, that's great. Now instead of your layer bend, open your layer setup, 0 position, and at here you need to add a pin, and instead of that pin you can set up here your stock name, that format which position you want to blend your pose. So I want format here, so let's set up like this, and here you need to set up the depth and use that match space rotation is enable. Now let's click on play. So your locomotion is start working right now. Now let's come in our player BP, and at here let's use a keyboard, that E keyboard, for basically equipped our gun. So montage, so we can search here that play montage. You can use this one. So also there's a one more animation number, that play montage, that is play anime montage. I can do your E, and at here you can set up here that which montage you already created. Just drag and drop like this. So here your montage is ready. Let's give it that EQ, what is the spelling? I guess IP equip. Okay, that is for equip. Let's give it any color, whatever you want. Let's click on play. Let's try that it's working or not. Let's press E. So as you can see, it's working. Let's now walk. Let's play now E. It's not working. It should be blend that pose, but it didn't. Okay, let's check that why it didn't work. Use safe cache, purpose, depth 1. It should be work. Nope, it's not working. Very bad.